Welcome back, sandwich connoisseurs, you fans of the sandwich out there. I know it's been a while since my last video, because mainly it took me a while to edit the, I recorded a video about Jon Jones and Dominick Reyes, the post-fight, but it took too long to edit. So I kind of just decided to scrap it. It was already too late. It was like a few days after the fight, and the flames have already been extinguished. So I'm gonna then I kind of waited a little bit too long. So now I'm just gonna recap the past two UFC events that have happened. This most recently Dan Hooker versus Paul Felder, and then before that Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz. I'm not just gonna be doing those two fights exclusively. I'm gonna try to do just the bigger fights, fights in the main card, and then maybe some prelim fights if I thought they were interesting, or some prospects I think should be pushed through, stuff like that. And just a quick recap of Jones versus Reyes. I know previously. Sorry, I got a burp. I know previously in the pre-fight I was like, hey, Jones is gonna win. I'm almost confident in Jones winning. I thought it was gonna be like a stoppage or something, but it wasn't. It was a really close fight regardless. I still think Jon Jones won. Everyone thinks Reyes got robbed, but whatever, it's fine. That fight is behind us. You can go cry about it if you thought Dominick Reyes won. Jon Jones is still the champion. Let's get into the Corey Anderson fight. The Corey Anderson versus Jan Blachowicz main card was kind of garbage. Except, I mean, the main event was good. The co-main was alright up until the end. I'll get into it, but for the most part, the main card was kind of underwhelming. But the main event did not disappoint at all. The first two fights of the main card for Fight Night 167 were pretty. They were all right. Lando Vannata versus Yancy Medeiros was pretty good. Lando Vannata obviously has this weird style, hands down. His chin's so high up in the air. He looks like a sitting duck, but he's just really. He picks his shots very well. He gets in and out quickly. And he's a very tough puzzle to solve. Very excited to see what Lando Vannata has next. The next fight, you had Rogério Bontorin versus Ray Borg. Ray Borg just kind of outgrappled his opponent. I mean, he looked great, but he did miss weight. And he has said before that if he ever misses weight again, then he'll move up or he'll quit, retire. But I don't think he's going to. I think he'll still fight at flyweight. I don't know. It's really hard to make 125. It blows my mind how some people can make it, especially guys like Ray Borg who have a lot of muscle mass for such a small frame. It's hard to cut muscle. You know, obviously they have no body fat on them at weigh-ins, but he didn't miss weight by a crazy amount. I think it was only a pound or two, but still missing weight is missing weight. And the next three fights were terrible. Not in their entertainment value, really. Just there was two disqualifications out of the next three fights, and the women's fight in between, Montana De La Rosa versus Mara Romeo Borella. I don't know how to pronounce that. Romero. I'm not sure. That one went to a decision. That fight was all right. A lot of cage grappling and. Just kind of stagnant striking. But before that, you had Brock Weaver versus Rodrigo Vargas, and Brock Weaver had fought on the Dana White Contender Series, and he has looked good, but he kind of was getting beat, and then he got hit with a illegal knee. Yeah, it ended the fight. Brock Weaver got the win. It was a disqualification though. So that was unfortunate to see. But then the co-main event, you had Michael Pereira versus Diego Sanchez, who's one of my favorite fighters, one of the most exciting and weird fighters to watch of all time. That fight was... This fight had to have been good. Because if you just... I beg you, just look up Michael Pereira highlights. Please. He's so weird. He jumps around the octagon, he does backflips. He's jumped off the cage. He's such a weird fighter, so unorthodox. And he did look good. He wasn't really destroying Diego, but he was beating Diego. But then he hit Diego with a knee while Diego was clearly grounded. I don't think there was any real debate. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. My laptop just died, so I had to plug it in, and then I recorded the rest of me talking about Dan Hooker versus Paul Felder. Then I realized I wasn't recording, so that's frustrating. I was talking about the Michael Pereira fight and Diego Sanchez. Sucks to see Michel Pereira lose. I was calling him Michael. It's Michel Pereira. Sucks seeing him lose because he's such a flashy, exciting fighter. But also, you don't want to see Diego Sanchez lose because it's Diego Sanchez. But then the main event, the legendary Polish power of Jan Blachowicz, put away Corey Anderson. And man, that guy's got some power. A lot of people have been calling for a rematch with Jon Jones and Dominic Reyes, but I don't think that would make sense. Let me explain why. If you schedule the rematch, Jon Jones versus Dominic Reyes, what do you do with Thiago Santos, who had a razor close fight? A lot of people were calling for a rematch with Jon Jones. And then what do you do with Jan Blachowicz? If you make the two fight, it wouldn't really make sense, because why does Dom Reyes get an immediate rematch and then Thiago Santos has to fight a lower ranked guy and then fight Jon Jones? What makes the most sense? Since both Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos lost to Jon Jones, I think those two should fight, and then I think Jan Blachowicz should get to fight Jon Jones, and then the winners fight each other. I think that's the best way to go about it, since Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos had such a close fight. And that'll be such a great fight too. Two power strikers. So that should be a really good fight to make. I hope the UFC does that. And then obviously you'd have Jan Blachowicz versus Jon Jones, which would be also a great fight. Jon Jones has been looking really vulnerable as of late, so I think he'll try to make some changes. And I think Jan Blachowicz will try to show everyone that legendary Polish power that he keeps on talking about. I think that is the best way to go about the light heavyweight situation right now. Then moving on to, as of the time of recording, last night's fights, Dan Hooker versus Paul Felder. Paul Felder is also one of my favorites to watch. Always exciting, always kind of in your face. Very quick. I noticed last night he looked really quick and sharp on everything that he was throwing. And Dan Hooker is just, he's not really quick and flashy, but he'll pick you apart, man. I've said this before. Range and reach doesn't really matter if you can't control it and utilize it. Guys like Dan Hooker, guys like Max Holloway are incredible at managing reach. Jon Jones is the master of it as well. And I've talked about it before with Stefan Struve having the longest reach and not really utilizing it that great and stuff like that. So I won't really talk about that more, but Dan Hooker utilized the reach very well. It seemed kind of tough for Paul Felder to get inside. He was kicking Paul Felder's legs he was doing those low calf kicks, kind of slowing him down a little bit. But as the fight slowly crept on, Paul Felder started to kind of get back into the fight, and really, I thought made a case to win. Again, it was a razor close decision. It was a super close fight. People were saying, again, robbery, but it was just a really close fight. Could have gone either way. I say the same thing about the Jon Jones fight. The past two Jon Jones fights, just really close fight. No robberies, just a great fight between two incredible fighters. I mean, the striking exchanges were so great. No brawling really, but just back and forth, no takedowns, non-stop, just pressure. It felt like I was watching a championship fight. Like, it was just, there was a lot of energy there. And the Auckland crowd was incredible. Over there, they're crazy. I'm not crazy in a bad way, crazy about fighting. When you're listening to like Jon Anik, and it wasn't Jon Anik, it was like Dan Hardy last night commentating, but when it's hard to hear them, that's when you know it's booming in there, and it's going crazy. But they go crazy there in Australia. I think that might have swayed the judges a little bit. Regardless, again, close fight, could have gone either way. And in the co-main event, you had Jimmy Crute versus Michael Oleksiejczuk. I think I said that right. I've heard different pronunciations of his name. I don't know. I'm just going to call him Oleksiejczuk. Jimmy Crute's last fight, he fought Misha Cirkunov, and Misha Cirkunov Peruvian necktied him, which was crazy to watch. That was a pretty rare submission. But anyways, Jimmy Crute won. He Kimura'd Alexeychuk, and I love watching Kimuras, dude. Watching people get that grip is just so nice. Something about it is very pleasing to watch. Jimmy Crute really just from the start dominated. It was round 1. He threw him on the mat and then just went to work, and it was short and sweet. Jimmy Crute's a strong, very powerful wrestler, and it was unfortunate that he lost to Misha, but in last fight. But yeah, this is the future's ahead of Jimmy Crute. He only has 1 loss on his record, and the future's bright for him. That's pretty much it. I know this is pretty brief, but I missed a couple weeks just because I kind of I recorded the Jon Jones video, then I kind of got lazy and didn't really edit it. So this one I'm gonna pump out, and I'm gonna try to keep on doing weekly uploads before fights, stuff like that. Unless they're really small fights. Next week we have the flyweight belt is on the line. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Joseph Benavidez. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry for it being a while in between uploads. I know it was just my first upload, and probably like 10 people will see this, but hey, it's okay. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.